Hello, you welcome to this special immigration edition of Tissues of the Issues. As we do on this channel, here we discuss our weekly articles that are published in our newspapers. And then we do a synopsis of the articles, we do a review of the article, and also do some analysis, and eventually we deliver our verdict on what we think is the gravamen of the arguments that we've put out there in the articles. Before we go any further, please click on the button for notification, subscribe to this channel, like, and also comment on the story today. Today we're talking about something extremely important: immigration in North America, especially, obviously, in the US of A. And that is why I have my Canadian flag behind me here. Apparently, our country, Canada, could become America's 51st state. That is what the president of the US of A, Donald Trump, is proposing now. Now, today, we're going to discuss an extremely important dimension of what is happening in the States. And our topic for today is Run, Kofi Ghana, Run. We are all trumped up in Chicago. And that is the title. Run, Kofi Ghana, Run. We are all trumped in Chicago. So if you Google that, you can read it. And also, if you want to read the entire article, if you click on the channel, the link below this article, you can also enjoy it. And I entreat you to visit the article so you can have the full story, discuss a lot of submissions in there, and would enjoy it. If you live in the States at this point, there are 5 names that you want to be scared of. One name is MAGA, Make America Great Again. Second name you want to be scared of is Tom Homan. That is the individual that Donald Trump has tapped to enforce American immigration. The border czar, they call him. He's the one who is coming after you, trying to get you back. If you're an illegal immigrant, undocumented, he's the person who is dealing with you at this point. He's the person trying to get you back. And he's also closing the border so nobody gets in. The third name that you want to be scared of is ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement in the States. Another scary one there. And today we got reports that they've actually, visited schools and trying to get people away. It's all getting messy out there at this point. The fourth word, the big one, is deportation. And that hits home really well. Once you're deported, it's like a funeral back home. It's a big thing. The fifth word that you want to be scared of, and you guess right, come on, Donald Trump. At this point, who is not scared of that name around the world? We are all scared of it. And the name reminds us of many, many things. It's like a plain canvas on which anything and everything could be written. So we wake up to another scare every day. Immigrants being rounded up, a new story here and there. Donald Trump has done this again. And now America is a bit of a tohuwabohu now. It's like a chaos at this point. It's not safe anymore for the undocumented. Now, if you remember very well, during the campaigns, they asked Mr. Trump that, will you be a dictator? And he said, no, I'll be a dictator for only one day. The rest I might not be. Well, it turns out he was right. On his first day in the White House, Donald Trump signed 50 executive actions. 26 of those actions were executive orders. And those were just targeting immigrants, a crackdown on immigration, getting illegal immigrants away, closing the American borders. Now it's ending birthright citizenship. So previously, if you want to, get your kids in America so that they become citizens, people would sponsor their wives, of the pregnancy to go give birth in the States, and so that their kids become citizens of the U.S. Now that might be no more. There are legal actions that are coming through. I mean, people are suing and all that, but at this point, that's what it is. Once you do that, you might not get citizenship for your child. And another executive action, wiping up the face of climate change and all that, all those policies that Donald Trump, Mr. Biden put in place. Now, Mr. Trump is trying to walk all of them back so that America has pulled out from WHO, a lot of things, and then even transgender rights. So now it's going to be binary. Gender is not binary. You're either a male or a female. That's America for you at this point. It's not a pretty sight. But at this point, if you live in the States now, you have to ask yourself one question. What do I look like? And who do I look like? Because it turns out everybody and anybody could be taken away. The reports we are having from places like Chicago and all that say that even citizens, some of them have been, approached, taken in and all that. So it's not getting funny anymore. So, but if you are an illegal immigrant, undocumented, then your story is as bad as it can be, because at this point, look, it's as if the sky has fallen on you. Mr. Trump is coming after you. And America, no matter what happens, will never be the same again. Now, let's turn our attention to the life of the illegal immigrant, the undocumented immigrant. Now, but let's try to do a lot of distinction here. Most Ghanaians, and that's our focus really, most Ghanaians enter the States as legal immigrants, not illegal. Most Ghanaians would have gone in there because you entered the state on a visa, different visa classes. So once you go in there, you enter as a legal immigrant. Now, you become illegal or undocumented once the visa expires. Then you are open to other options. But then you entered legally. Those who entered illegally would be usually the people from Mexico. They would have, the borders, they joined the borders. And that's a phenomenon that we associate with Mexicans. It's not only Mexicans, though, because other nationals, even sometimes including Ghanaians, would have gone, to Mexico and get to the U.S. through that route. So, but usually, so that is a distinction, legal and illegal. Ghanaians will go in there, legal, their visa expires, and then they become undocumented or illegal. Now, once your visa expires and you are undocumented, there's usually one route that most Ghanaians will use, and that is our real route. If you're a student, then most people would want to pick up more courses and keep studying until they become career students. And then eventually you hit a cul-de-sac and you can't renew your visa again, and you might be asked to leave or you try other options again. But most people want to use our real route. You get somebody that loves you, or maybe you don't also love her, or somebody that you don't love and also doesn't love you, but you want to get married anyway, so that you know what I mean, right? You get those documents to stay in somebody's country. You need to go through all that, and that also has a lot of problems too. A friend of mine, he had paid money to this lady. We call them Akata, right? I won't mention the real name, but Akata is what we call them, and they had fixed the date for the court process and all that. The day comes and the lady says, "Oh, I'm not going anymore. And if you dare come close to me, I'll call the police for you." Now, what do? So most people have paid thousands of dollars and they still don't have the document. And the US of A, I don't know what's happening today, but you can live there for 25 years and still not have documents. There are people like that. And those people would have sponsored their sisters or their brothers, their cousins, or even their wives to join them back there. And they would help these people to get their documents, but they wouldn't have theirs for some reason, as if they are journalists or something like that. So in that 25-year period, if your father or your mother dies, you can't come back to Ghana to, give them befitting burial. And then so you live that kind of life if you live abroad. Now, but once you are illegal or undocumented, you need to work, isn't it? And usually you need somebody's documents to work. And there are many, many funny stories. Once you're working with somebody's papers, you are usually very careful. You drive carefully. You don't overspeed. So your life is kind of regimented, right? Because the life of the illegal immigrant really is punctuated by fear, anxiety, and uncertainties. So you always, as if you're tied to somebody's apron strings. So you're always so careful. But if you work with somebody's papers, what you do, once you go to the workplace, you avoid the gaze of supervisors. You don't go close to the HR office until it's so necessary. And sometimes there are stories that once they mention your name, because it's not your real name, sometimes they call your name and you're still standing there, looking around. Is it me? Until they touch you, that you're calling you. These are funny stories that happen abroad. And so you need to, be careful because, and you pray that the person doesn't die, because once the person who has the papers dies, that means you're also dead. All right, literally, right? So these are funny stories. Now, but it gets a bit funnier if you're working with somebody's documents and your pay also goes to their account, with their bank account. So that means they need to get the money and transfer it to you. Many stories there. Some people get the money and they don't give it back to you. And once so they control your life, as it were. Even if they say a joke and it's not funny, you have to laugh. So you are like a dumb husband whose wedding was paid for by the mother-in-law. You don't laugh much at the dining table, and once food is finished, you need to clear the plate because you're tied to the apron strings. They control you like a remote control, right? They remote you around. So the life of the undocumented person is not pretty. If you live there, it's not pretty. It's so bad. Now, so imagine that you've gone through all this, you haven't prepared anything back home, and you've been taken away, deported. Now, the fear of being deported, so it's so dangerous that it has its own abbreviation in the immigration lingo. It's called FOD, fear of deportation. That fear has been compared to thanatophobia, that's the fear of death. So the deportation situation is like an amalgamation of all fears in one. Once you are sent back home, look, it's like a funeral back home, because there are people back home who depend on you, even as you are here, working, in the cold and falling off in the snow, running from the police. Your life is not pretty, but there are people whose life is prettier back in Ghana because you are here. And now I'm sure there are many parents and sisters and uncles in Ghana praying and fasting for their siblings and their daughters back in the States, because once they're deported, it means people's livelihoods are going to be touched back in Ghana. So it's not a funny story, and it affects all of us. So once you're taken home, and if you're not prepared anything, what happens to you? Even if you prepare yourself, even if you had the wrong papers, you worked here and you saved up and you moved to Ghana on your own, life is still not really interesting, right? It's not that easy for you again. So imagine that you've just been deported. It has its own stigma too. Once you're deported, it has its own stigma, and so that's why what has happened in America, it concerns all of us, and we in Canada here are not sitting pretty, really, because there are tariffs going to hit us, and already we are feeling the effect, right? If 25% of all products leaving Canada to America will be hit with these tariffs, and that has implications for production. Once we can't pay those tariffs, it means we can't export there, and that has implications on the GDP, the incomes that we earn, the jobs that we hold. Already some jobs are being affected in a way. So what is happening in the States, it's a global thing, and if you're not careful, the other G7 countries would also follow suit, and that would have grave implications for immigration around the world, really. And that is why this is a big thing for all of us, and we are all looking up to one man. And it's interesting how one man is holding the entire world, really, to ransom, more or less. Mr. Trump, when he started with the campaigns, it looked like a scare that was far off, but now the scare has become a menu on our table, and it's a daily staple that we do to gulp it down every day. So our verdict for this week's article, really. But even as I round up, I just saw a report on the internet that there's another edict, another warning from Donald Trump that politicians in Nigeria are banned from coming in. So Nigerian politicians can't come to the States anymore. I mean, these are unconfirmed. These days to people put in fake news. So it might be true, but that's what we hear, that there's a ban on politicians from Nigeria can't come to the state. International accounts from Nigeria in the States are being touched, and apparently about 2 million Nigerians are being targeted in the States to be deported back home. And there are also, not close to 2 million Ghanaians, but a number. There are also Ghanaians who don't have anything, living in the States. I'm sure it could be 1 million, right, who might also be sent back to Ghana. So what is happening has grave implications, grave economic implications, money transfer. People are living in Ghana, and all their livelihood is in the States, because people there send them money to pay bills, to eat, to pay school fees. So it's not a pretty story at all. But our verdict is that what is happening is scary. We said it looks like a tohubohu, like a chaos at this point. But give it a few years. It's possible that the same way that they picked us up in the slave trade era to go work in plantations there, Americans might come back for us, even those who have been deported. One day, they will need us back in the States. But we do hope that when the day comes, we will not be able to go, because we would have fixed our countries, that we don't need to travel again. So that there will be, reverse migration perhaps. That our countries, Ghana will be so great, Nigeria will be so great that if you offer a free citizenship for Canada or for the US, so say, no, I'm fine in Lagos, I'm fine in Kumasi, I don't want to travel again, because I have jobs, I can buy my own house, I can go get a car and pay by high purchase. So I'm living great. So I don't want to go, because look at it carefully. I mean, the life here is not that fantastic anyway. Look, when it's winter, life is literally, you're just like a prisoner. You don't enjoy anything. so cold, driving, slipping away. Just a few days ago, I nearly, hit somebody with my, because driving in the snow, it's not a pretty life. And so if we could fix stuff back home so that when Trump brings this care, we will say, well, we don't even want to, let's come back home anyway. So that is our verdict, that one day, now that they are coming, they are bringing us back home, but one day they might need us back, and we will say, look, we are not going. So that is our verdict. So this ends our discussion for today. The title, once again, for this article is Run, Kofi Ghana, Run. We are all trumped up in Chicago. But to get the full submissions that we've put out in the article, please, if you click on the link below, it will take you to the newspaper. The paper's name is newscenter.com, and you will see tissues of the issues in there, and enjoy the article and our previous editions. So please, before we do go though, click on the button for notification so you see the next article coming in, another interesting one, and also subscribe for me, most importantly, and also comment and like this article. This has been another edition of Tissues of the Issues, and my name is Benjamin Quisiteria. Thank you very much.